5.
5.
It's amazing. 5 episodes already.
Yeah.
And we get a ton of people every Wednesday as well for our weekly webinar. So you guys might want to check that out every Wednesday at 2.
Yeah, we do. Every Wednesday at 2 o'clock on Zoom. We're trying TikTok.
Yes.
We'll see. But this, Nick, is our deeper dive into topics or things that have come up during the webinar that we just can't squeeze into a 1-hour session or that we wanted to spend more time talking about one-on-one.
Right. Yeah. And some of you guys might recognize my voice. I'm usually the guy behind the camera, but I stepped on the camera today to talk to Jennifer about this, mainly because, I designed it.
You did.
But I didn't put it together. Jennifer and Angie did that. So that's why we're here today, to talk to Jennifer about why did we design this and how did we do it?
Yeah, but you're leaving out 2 important facts. First of all, yes, you are the voice behind the screen. You're the Nick that I always say, Nick, what does that say? What does that say? Could you read that comment on the webinars? But also, you are technically my boss because you are on the board of directors.
I am on the board.
For Amputee Aid. So you're one of our board members. So you have that, that boss aura, so to speak. And that is also very important to point out because not only are you the Nick behind the screen and the designer for Adopt an Amputee that we're talking about today, but you are also an integral part of Amputee Aid as a nonprofit and a supporter of the limb loss, limb difference community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so usually we'd introduce ourselves, but I think we kind of did that. I'm Jennifer. I'm the director for Amputee Aid, nonprofit based right here in Pittsburgh, but we serve folks nationwide who are living with limb loss or limb difference, as well as their supporters, such as myself. And who are you other than Nick behind the screen?
I am not Nick behind the screen. I am Nick, and I am the director of marketing for our parent company, and also on the board for Amputee Aid.
Yeah. So let's talk about Adopt an Amputee and what it is, right?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to know. I kind of know, but I want to know the full story.
Yeah.
Why did you guys design this?
So Adopt an Amputee came to us in the spring of this year. So I would not say the project is in its infancy. It's a full-on project, and it has launched. But we were looking for a way that was in part fun and in part engaging for a younger demographic. So all the young ones growing up in the world who will be supporters at some point of people living with limb loss and limb difference. So we were trying to find a way to do some fundraising, some advocacy, some educating geared toward a young adult and youth market where we see that there is some potential not only to educate and advise on disability awareness, but also to grow our young philanthropists, right? If I had my way, everyone would live in the nonprofit world because nonprofit life is the best life, in my humble opinion.
It does seem like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and you get to use your skills to give back and help people. And what a wonderful experience that is. So we want to nourish the youth and young adult group. So we were at one of our staff meetings talking about ways that we could do that. And one thing we know about the young group is they like projects, right? What we call peer-to-peer fundraisers. So the run walks, the bracelet sales, the sticker sales, the bake sales, all of that stuff, right? That you can do that's manageable but fun and creative. That's the thing that jives with the youth, I'm told. Mm-hmm. I'm not a youth. You have youth, right? You have young ones. So we wanted to do something that was fun and entertaining, but that would also educate. So we came up with Adopt an Amputee.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And my wife being a teacher, she would definitely be interested in on how you created it.
Yeah.
It's a lot. There's a lot that goes into teaching kids, between first grade and seniors in high school.
Yeah.
How did you guys do this?
So we brainstormed a lot, and then we leaned into folks who are involved with schools. So one of our project coordinators, for example, is a former educator, former school superintendent. We asked for insight from parents of kiddos. We shopped some of the curriculum, which we'll talk about in a little bit, to folks who we thought would be interested in it to get feedback. But frankly, we also kind of designed it as we went. We did not go into this project with any preconceived notions of what it should look like. We really kind of started and got feedback from multiple audiences to see what resonated and what made sense. We knew that there were some core things up front. We wanted manageable chunks, right? So when I say curriculum, it's not a semester textbook, but it has a workbook connected to it. So not only are we asking kiddos to, and I say kiddos, but this is really a youth and young adult audience. But it could be tailored for younger kids and adults too. I would love to do this program. For example.
Absolutely.
So we knew we wanted manageable chunks. So we have these 10 different sections, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that each talk about a different topic or concept in either disability awareness or philanthropy or fundraising. And we knew we wanted it to be easy and digestible and that folks could do at their own pace. Okay. So we knew that up front. We wanted 10 pieces and we wanted it to be flexible. But other than that, Nick, to be honest with you, we just wrote as we went and got feedback and continued to write and edit until we got a product that you helped us put together that we thought would resonate. And so far it has. We've had school districts adopting this program and rolling it out. And our dream, our vision is that lots of school districts all over the country will as well.
I mean, the info that you gave me to put this all together, you obviously did a ton of work. And
we did.
You know, how long did it take to do all that?
So we spent all of the spring and summer writing the curriculum. And some of that was a day writing, some of it was a day editing, some of it was some time waiting for feedback, you know, gripping your desk, hoping it was good, and then being okay when it was not good feedback, because that happens too. But we did spend a lot of time. We did not just do like an over the night, like real quick cobbled together product.
Oh, it shows you took some time on it.
Thank you for saying that, because we want educators to see it and feel like, you know, this really is worthwhile for my students or for my church youth group or my after school group or my scouts or whatever the audience is. We want them to feel like they're getting value out of the product. And that really is the focus. The fundraising piece, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the money raised, those are good things too. But our primary goal, Nick, is to educate and make folks aware of the limb loss and limb difference community. And so that meant having a good product, written product, that folks could read, could understand, and could actually like and appreciate and have a little fun while they're doing it.
Absolutely. You know, and being that we work together, you know, I know and understand more about the amputee world. And when I was putting this together, there's so much good information in there that I feel anyone that goes through it or even just reads it in general, you know, they'll have the same appreciation and understanding that we do, you know, at the office. So good job on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we really focused on core topics in each of those. We call it the curriculum or module or chapter is a different topic that we thought was important to discuss with either disability awareness or fundraising.
So what are some of the topics that people can expect to read and do?
Yeah, so there's a wide variety. And again, we targeted the youth and young adult audience. So we picked topics that would resonate with them. But there are also topics that would work for everyone. Adults well into their, we'll just say later age so I don't out myself as well, can learn from these modules. So we start with what is philanthropy, for example? What does that look like? There is a chapter on disability awareness and also why it matters. So things like person-first language, right? So you'll hear us say a lot, someone living with limb loss. That means person first. They are a person before their disorder, right? Or someone living with an amputation, right? Or someone living with depression. Or, as my grandma would say, you just call them by their first name, right? You're not an amputee, you're Joe Smith. Right. So we talk about that, disability awareness. We talk about teamwork, which is really important, especially for, you know, youth and young adults. I think everybody in work world and adults could also benefit from reading a teamwork chapter.
Yes.
So we have a chapter on teamwork. We have a chapter on marketing your fundraiser. How do you do it? How do you create a social media campaign? How do you create a flyer campaign? We have a chapter on types of fundraisers you can do. This is a key piece of Adopt an Amputee, Nick, because it is a peer-to-peer fundraiser. So maybe we can talk about what that is.
I would love to.
So peer-to-peer means fundraising to your peers, right? So as opposed to one agency kind of dictating what the fundraiser is, we support, we give guidance, we give you the graphics, we can educate and help lead you down the path, which we'll talk about in a little bit, how the agency is involved. But we let our peers, our groups, decide their own fundraiser and then market it to themselves, right? So one school, for example, they might have a group that does a 5K run walk and another group that does a sticker sale. We might have a scouts group that wants to do an awareness campaign online and donate online. We might have an older group that wants to do a silent auction, and that's their fundraiser. So the point here is that each group can design a fundraiser that makes sense to them, that is doable on the time that they have available, that's workable into their budget or with the donations that they secure, and they can fundraise to their own audience or their peers. That's why it's called peer-to-peer. So there's a chapter about that. What kinds of fundraisers can you do and how can you market them? There is a chapter about celebrating your wins and learning from your losses, right? Because again, the goal is in part to raise money for an amputee, but also to learn, right? So there's a chapter about that. There's a chapter about the wonderful world of philanthropy, as I alluded to, and why we think everyone should be mini philanthropists and maybe make it their full-time job. So youth and young adults can learn those core leadership skills, team building skills, fundraising skills, disability awareness, and also some kind of real life job type skills about either donating some of their time or making it their full-time job.
So do you guys go and teach it, or do the teachers at the schools teach it?
It depends. And that's another great thing about Adopting Amputee is we design the curriculum to be purposely flexible. So locally here in the Pittsburgh area, we do have a school that has asked our agency to lead their students, and they are adopting this classroom-wide, right? So, which makes sense because we're local. We have other schools that are doing it on a teacher basis. We have other schools that are doing it on a group basis. So a student leader, like student council, right? Maybe they'll pick one leader to be the leader of that group, and then they will all work at their own pace.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, right. So, and then because it's not a hard curriculum, but there is a point person involved to make sure that we continue down the path. Everyone's working through the modules, all 10 modules, and that there is a workflow in place. However, Nick, the curriculum is broad enough where our homeschooled kiddos can do this when they're in their smaller groups, or even a student who wants to take this on as their own volunteer project can work on their own. So it can be both self-paced, teacher taught, group leader taught, scout leader taught, or at a higher macro level, either through our agency or on a grade level too. It is purposely flexible that way. Regardless, Amputee Aid provides guidance. So whether you're looking for us to teach in person or virtually, or to be the sounding board if things go sideways, or to be there to field questions, we can always be involved, but we could also let the group who wants to take on this project work at their own pace and at their own skill set and with whoever is available to them.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's why we spent a lot of time this summer writing it. We didn't want it to be too hard that kids couldn't do it on their own.
Right. And looking through it, I feel that probably a middle schooler or late elementary student would be able to follow through this as well.
Yeah.
But I could see it could easily be adapted to the younger people as well.
Definitely. I think, our target audience up front was the 9 to 12th grade. However, in designing it and also with your help on the visual side of things, it's very easily adaptable for your middle school and younger age. Maybe with your younger kiddos, you would want an adult supervising and helping you guide through that process. But everybody can learn. It's written in a way that is very accessible. And honestly, when I was in college, we had a community service project. Easily, I would have done this in college, and I think college kids can do it too. They're all kids to me, even though they're adults, right? But I think it's very broad range.
This would have been more fun than the show up at the soup kitchen and just serve, right? Like that. Yes. That's great too. Don't
very important work. You're talking like a board member now. Very important.
Well, my 15-year-old 2 years ago went to the homeless shelter here in Pittsburgh and fed the homeless for the holidays and did it with his hockey team. It was a really cool experience. Yes.
What you just reminded me of, Nick, is so when I was in middle school, as a Girl Scout, because we were scouts and as long as we could be. My mom was our troop leader. Our community service project in the summer was planting flowers in our hometown at the foot of a bridge. Okay. And we spent a lot of money doing that, right? So this is the dead of summer in Michigan. And it rains a lot, especially when you live along one of the Great Lakes, as I did. And I distinctly remember one weekend we planted them. The very next weekend it rained. And do you think those flowers lasted? No. gone. Okay, gone. And where I lived, you have to go over the bridge to get to school and back, right? So every day we're driving there, I see all the mud, and all of our hard work and money had gone to waste. Looking back on it, this opportunity would have been more beneficial for us because we would have spent our time and our resources and benefited an actual person, which is another key component to adopt an amputee, and thus the name Adopt an Amputee, is the funds don't go to a general pool. They don't come back to Amputee Aid. We match the groups with an actual person, and their fundraising efforts go to an actual person so they can see
so
the
they'll
impact.
know exactly.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
I'm doing this fundraiser for Cheryl,
Exactly.
and Cheryl needs a new leg.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
They know, and they'll be matched with an actual person. We have rosters of folks in need now. For groups that are looking for someone more local, we'll find you someone more local. And the goal is that not only will they fundraise for an actual person, but they get to meet that person too. And I think that says a lot because they get to see real life people who they are benefiting. My hope, our hope really, is that will grow their heart to be philanthropists, right? Because they can see the real practical effect and the lifelong lasting impact, as opposed to the flowers that died the very next weekend when I was a kid, and it was really kind of demoralizing in some ways. They get to see the lasting impact of the work that they do for someone in their community.
That is, it puts it more on the personal level.
Yeah.
You know, so you feel more accomplished when you're done with it, rather than, I went and I feel good, but now I know where the money went.
Exactly.
I saw the excitement and the thanks on their faces.
Yes, exactly. And let me say, as I said, nonprofit life is the best life. So I would not be doing our community justice if I did not say any donations you do are good, right?
Yes.
Whether it's to a community organization, a conglomerate, if you want to donate to a national organization, please donate anything that you have wherever your heart calls you. But I would not be honest if I didn't say most people want to donate at the local level, and they want to know where their donation goes.
Yes.
That is just people, right? There's nothing wrong with that. So although we don't want to discourage folks from donating to the big organizations, if you want to donate to the Amputee Aid General Fund, please go right ahead, right? But if you were like most people, myself included, and I venture to guess you too, and you want to see where your donation, whether it's your time or your money or your resources, is going and who it's actually benefiting, those are okay feelings to have, and this is a solution for that feeling.
And I also like you're doing the fundraiser for that specific person instead of like a whole cause, so you can see an immediate reaction.
Yes.
And you see what they need, so you can kind of pick and design your fundraiser to benefit that person better.
Exactly.
So if they need something that's $10,000, $20,000, you do something a little different than something you would for $2,000.
Exactly right. Or even if it's just, I need $150 for supplies. That will dictate the type of fundraiser that the group does, which is why Adopt an Amputee is flexible. You're right on point, Nick. Is we wanted the goal of Adopt an Amputee was to make it flexible so that you could tailor your fundraiser to your matched person, but also so that your project could be malleable and it could be approachable, right? So if you think about, I'm donating to a big cause, that sounds scary for a lot of people and almost not doable, right? Before you even try, because how am I going to change life for every amputee in the United States? But if a group knows I am going to focus on John Doe in my hometown whose request is for a couple $100, now that feels approachable. In the world of philanthropy, there is a story called the Starfish Story. Do you know the Starfish Story?
I do not.
I'm going to send it to you. Maybe we can include it as a link for our viewers as well. So Starfish Story goes like this. There was a boy walking along the beach throwing starfish back into the water. And there were hundreds of them, okay, and one little boy. And an old man saw him, and he came up and he said, "Boy, why are you doing that? You're never going to get to all of these starfish. There's hundreds along the beachfront." And the boy picked up another starfish and threw it in the water and said, "I might not be able to save all of them, but I changed the world for this one." Isn't that nice?
That is.
And that's the whole point. You might not be able to save everybody in the world, but for the one person you are saving, you're changing their entire world. And that's the concept behind Adopt an Amputee. You don't have to fundraise for the 2 million plus amputees in the United States. You are going to change the world for the person who's in your community.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to get involved and do this, how do they sign up? Where do they go?
Super easy. You can go to the Amputee Aid website, www.amputee-aid.com. We'll include the link with the recording for our podcast. You can go onto our website and click the Get Involved link. And there's a section there to contact us and to read more about Adopt an Amputee. What happens from there, and this is true whether you're a school leader, a teacher, a scout leader, youth group, a young adult yourself. It doesn't have to be the top person. Anybody can reach out to ask for more information about Adopt an Amputee. What happens from there, Nick, is we will get that inquiry. We schedule an intake, and it can be a video, phone call, emails back and forth, where we talk about the curriculum, how we share it, it's free, by the way. There's no fee to get the curriculum, but we do share it in a way that's protected, so it's not out there all over the world in case we want to change it in the future, right? And we can give you some ideas for types of fundraisers, learn more about your group or you as an individual, if you want to take this on as an individual project, and get you set up. We send the curriculum either digitally or in print, and then we set up a timeline for when we're going to do some check-ins to see how you or your group are doing. Super flexible, very easy, no cost. All we ask is that they reach out and we do a little intake so we can learn more about you. And we can also learn more about the preference for someone locally or someone who already we have identified has a need. And then we go from there.
That is super simple.
Yeah.
And would there be a way that maybe someone could see maybe a piece of one of the modules to
absolutely
get an idea of what they're getting into beforehand?
Absolutely. Yes. And that's a good thing. We always share the table of contents so you can see what all the modules are based on our description here. And then if you're interested in any particular one so that you can see it and all the beautiful work you did, because it is really cool. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Of course, we will share that too. So although I said it's a curriculum and there is reading involved, it's light reading and it is also really visually appealing. So maybe you could tell us more about that because you designed a book that is really fun to look at too, which I think is super helpful.
Thank you. So I got the inspiration from, I believe you designed something for the luncheon we had last year.
Yes.
It was either the place card or the invitation.
Yes.
And I really liked how that looked. So I wanted to keep that feel.
Can I just say as a pause for a moment here, when I designed that, it was super late at night, and I was not thinking that anyone would like it other than me, especially not someone who does this full time.
Late at night, that's when the creative mind gets going, and that's when I do most of my creative work is at night.
Okay,
so
good.
No.
So I'm glad you liked it.
I loved it, and I wanted to keep that feel. I love the orange and the blue circles, and I just liked it. But I also wanted to give it like a textbook paper feel. So I got a little texture overlays and put those in there. And so that way when it's printed, you're flipping the pages. It kind of looks like a traditional book.
Yeah.
But, some of the topics, I tried to pick images and illustrations that fit the topic the best and kind of grab the audience emotionally and pulled them into what you're trying to get accomplished in that specific module, and it took me probably 2 weeks to find the right ones to put in there because I would always change my mind. I would read it and look at the picture and I got to change it.
Yeah.
So I wanted it so it could easily, like you said, be adapted to the middle school if need be, and maybe some younger as well.
Yeah, because the imagery really, it looks exciting and it's engaging is I think a good word.
And we want to keep people engaged.
And one piece of that is that each module also has a task or a, try this out, like a mini assignment in it as well. Not assignment like it's really hard, but not only are the groups or an individual, if it's an individual project, not only is there a reading piece and a learning piece, but there's a little project that you can do at the end, like write slogans for your fundraiser or brainstorm as a group, fundraising activities you can do. So there's a little bit of work, but light work, fun work. And so you'll see each module has a little like task at the end that you also designed and put in there.
And those tasks, just so, everybody understands and realizes it's not hard. It's things you're going to do anyways.
Yeah.
If you're doing a fundraiser, you have to do steps 1 through 10, let's say. Well, you're going to write out different slogans because you're not going to pick the first one.
Exactly.
We didn't pick Amputee Aid on the first one.
We did not.
It took a little thinking and some process. So
so the work and there's guidance. So when we say you can work at your own pace and you're guided through the process, we literally mean it. Right in the curriculum itself, you get the little nuggets of tasks and things that you can do. But we are always available and do check in with the groups as they're working on their project to answer any questions or help support as well.
So let's say I did this fundraiser.
Yeah.
And I did a car wash on Saturday.
Okay.
So the funds, like, how do I get them to you? Like, where do they go? And then from there, like, obviously it goes to the person that we're there to help. But how do we get them there?
So there's
And how do we keep track?
Great question. So there's 2 ways, and these are explained in the curriculum as well. With our organization, each group that does a fundraiser has the option, and this is really the preference because it's easier, to set up a fundraising page on our platform. So we have a what we call a CRM, fancy philanthropy word. It's a fundraising platform. And you as a group working through Adopting Amputee get free access. Everybody loves FREE, free. Free dollars, or as my friend says, free 99, okay, free dollars. You get a fundraising page that we help you set up. And then whatever the fundraiser is, if it's sticker sales, a car wash, entry for a 5K, you want to do a crazy hat day at school and your school officials let you do that, but you got to pay $1 to wear the hat, that kind of stuff, you can all pay online, whether it's credit card, debit card, electronic check, Apple Pay, crypto, interestingly enough.
Really?
Yes. That's new. But yes, so we will, if you're doing electronic payments, we set you up with the fundraising page, walk you through it, super easy to do. It's just like any other payment you make online. And then all those funds are tracked and accounted for, and they are direct deposited into a mini account for your project that donates to your specific amputee. So that's the easy way. Now, lots of fundraisers will engage in cash and check as well. And if that happens, then part of the curriculum teaches you how to account for that. You want someone who's responsible enough, either an adult or a responsible older young person, to help collect and account for those cash payments as well. Then those would be sent to our organization in the form of a check. So you're going to want to have an adult help cash and deposit that money and issue a check to the organization so that we can recycle that back to the amputee who you're matched with. So a little more involved on the cash check payment option, not a bad thing, and certainly a skill that everyone needs to learn. And that's why we dedicated an entire module in the curriculum to doing just that. But for kiddos who want to do the electronic payment option, free 99, free, and we set you up with a beautiful, colorful fundraising page that you get to use.
It's great.
Yeah.
You guys really did put everything in there from start to finish.
We sure did. Yes. Including ideas for fundraisers too. So we want groups and individuals to use their creativity and come up with something that makes sense for them, their time, their resources, what kind of donations they can get, and the time that they can invest in this, right? But we gave you some ideas too that are also in the curriculum.
And that doesn't mean they have to only use this.
No, they can come up with literally anything that they want, so long as it's legal. Okay, right. So nothing illegal, and that includes, interestingly enough, some states in raffles. So if you are a group watching this and you're wondering, maybe I could do an auction or a raffle, please let us know, because some states have very specific requirements about the legalities, even if it's a simple thing like you're raffling off a cookie basket from your local bakery. So Other than that, and obviously no alcohol or tobacco, young ones, but mostly any other type of fundraiser, whether it's a weekend thing, a one-off thing, something based at your school, you want to sell stickers, we can do all those things too.
That is great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you diving in deeper into the adopted amputee.
Yeah.
And I actually look forward to doing one, although I'm not going to go teach one of the schools. Sorry, guys. I think my wife would criticize me way too much.
Can we get your wife to be a teacher? Maybe she'll do it, because Angie and I, we'll be teaching. I would not say I'm trained to be a teacher, but if you let me talk about philanthropy, I'll do it all day long. So those kids are either going to be really happy or really upset that they've got me as their teacher.
Well, I'll tell you, they would probably learn a ton.
Thank you.
But thank you. I really appreciate you diving in deep, and thank you, everybody. And hopefully we'll have some schools signing up here soon with this.
Yes. If you want to know more, now that you watched our video, contact us, amputee-aid.com. Click the Get Involved link at the top. And we'd love to share the curriculum with you and talk to you about how your youth and young adults, or even your older adults too, can get involved and do this fundraiser for someone in your community.
Or if you just want to click the donate button.
We'll take that too.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Including your crypto.
Yes. Give us a Bitcoin, please.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, everyone. Stay tuned for our next episode of The Amputee Show next month. And if you want to check us out live every Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Zoom for our sessions of Life Amplified. Somewhat fun, always entertaining, and we'd love to have you there too. Right?
Thank you.
Okay, take care.